Under the cover of night, a group of concealed figures swiftly traverses the forest, moving with speed and silence, leaping from tree to tree. Abruptly halting, they gaze down at a sleeping bag near a flickering campfire, their eyes filled with malice as they unsheath their weapons. The leader experiences a twitch, promptly launching a dagger with great velocity towards the sleeping bag. Although the blade connects with the bag, upon closer inspection, they discover the absence of anyone in the sleeping bag. A sudden voice interrupts, stating, "Over here." The leader, taken aback, swiftly turns around to find someone on the tree behind him, a young boy with a lifeless gaze in his eyes. Asserting his right to self-defense, the boy informs them they can be slain as they initiated the ambush. He prepares his bow, opting for a tree branch as an arrow. The group of men ridicules him for this choice, laughing and questioning if he's joking. Their mockery comes to an abrupt halt when one of them meets a gruesome end impaled by a tree branch, causing shock among the remaining members. Terrified, the men gaze at the boy as he prepares to unleash another tree branch infused with energy. Methodically, he shoots one and calmly counts, one, persisting with another shot. The men, gripped by fear, witness the boy continuing his count, reaching 3 and then 4 while launching his arrows. Despite the leader's pleas for mercy, he snaps off yet another tree branch. Turning without emotion, the boy informs him that if their intention was to harm him, they should have been prepared to face the consequences. Drawing back his bow, he releases an energy-enforced arrow that proves decisive in ending the leader. Examining the ground, he asserts that no traces should remain. Silently navigating the night, leaping between trees, he reflects on the mundane nature of the human world. Unidentified individuals discuss the passage of time and the preservation of the Demon King's traces. One person dismisses the concern, stating that someone with demonic energy can surpass the barrier. Another notes the issue lies in the incapacity to utilize the land due to the pervasive demonic energy. Observing that survival is improbable, someone suggests sending individuals slated for execution into the perilous area. This idea shocks the onlookers, and the proponent asserts that there's a constant need to eliminate people, with the forest offering a convenient solution. Unanimous agreement emerges in support of the plan. Within the forest, individuals implore and scream at knights present to apprehend child. Despite the mother's pleas to spare her baby, they proceed to extract the infant and conduct an eerie ritual. The distraught mother cries out her son's name, Helmut, as he is teleported away. The destination for the baby is a dreaded place called Root, a land of exile where none return alive, not even esteemed commanders and mages. People are sent there through the use of divine magic, with the pledge that surviving the perilous forest will lead to the forgiveness of their sins. One day, merely being an infant born with the seed of darkness became a transgression. The baby's cries unveil the harsh reality that he was abandoned in the most inhospitable location on their planet. The forest, saturated with demonic energy, subjects the child to hunger and cold. However, the energy from the embedded seed in the baby's heart activates and envelops him. After 10 days, the child defies the odds and survives miraculously. Then, one fateful day, a demonic leopard emanating blue energy encounters the child. Initially growling at the baby, the leopard eventually lifts the child. From that moment, the child's destiny is sealed. Fast forward 10 years, and we find a young boy in pursuit of a rabbit. Cursing the elusive creature, the boy persists in the chase, leaping high and commanding the rabbit to remain still. Successfully landing on the rabbit's back, he captures the elusive creature. Informing the leopard, Ulaga, of his accomplishment, he elicits a faint smile from her. Descending from the tree she perched on, she swiftly dispatches the captured rabbit. Inquiring if the boy, Helmut, has acclimated to hunting, she learns that while he has, his current prowess is limited to hunting rabbits. Ulaga educates him that all demonic beasts harbor a demon core. The creature gains strength from the core beneath it. Despite capturing the beast, Helmut desires the core. but Alaga rejects his request, forcefully pushing him away. Helmut, frustrated on the ground, insists on obtaining beads. Alaga reminds him of his humanity, cautioning that consuming the core would transform him into a demonic beast, condemning him to a perpetual life in the forest. Helmut dismisses the notion as absurd, arguing that even without consuming the core, he would remain confined to the forest. He contends that it would be preferable to become stronger. Helmut conveys to Alaga that he currently lacks the strength to venture beyond her territory. Alaga reassures him that he has the means to escape. Perplexed, Helmut seeks clarification. She reiterates that he can indeed leave the forest. Baffled, he questions her certainty, pointing out that even she is unable to escape the forest. Skeptical herself, Alaga initially found it difficult to believe, but someone assured her that escaping the forest was possible. Helmut inquires about the source of this information, prompting Alaga to reveal that a human imparted the knowledge to her, a revelation that surprises Helmut. Observing his reaction, she advises him against searching for the human, suggesting the likelihood of the individual perishing in the forest. Helmut, undeterred, insists the person might still be alive and queries if she witnessed their demise. She discloses that the human, though once strong, was elderly. Regardless of a human's strength, they inevitably weaken due to their inability to withstand demonic energy, Alaga explains. She mentions it has been a considerable time, estimating the man's age to be around 90. Helmut inquires about the encounter between Alaga and the man. Alaga, feeling offended by his desire to depart after her care and upbringing, is reminded by Helmut of her instruction that he must live independently upon reaching adulthood. Despite Helmut suggesting he can return, Alaga expresses uncertainty about the man's current presence, emphasizing that circumstances may have changed. Growing upset, she shouts at Helmut that if he wants to meet the old man, he should go. The man resides in the east. Helmut promptly turns on and dashes towards the east, leaving Alaga surprised. Despite her declaration that she doesn't care if he perishes on the journey, Helmut remains undeterred. His focus is on the prospect of encountering a human within the forest, someone seemingly strong without relying on the seed of darkness. Helmut is delighted at the prospect of finally meeting another human akin to himself. Helmut, fatigued from his run, encounters a fence, questioning its existence. Leaping over it, he's convinced it's a human creation. Abruptly, he's tackled to the ground by an immensely powerful individual. Inquiring about Helmut's identity and purpose, the man questions who sent him. Helmut replies, asserting his solitude, and mentions Alaga, who spoke of another human residing there. The man scrutinizes Helmut, releases him, and queries why he sought this encounter. Helmut clarifies it's not merely to meet a human, countering the man's assumption. Rising to his feet, Helmut expresses his desire to exit the forest to the elderly man. Darien introduces himself and inquires about Helmut's name. After Helmut responds, Darien questions his determination to leave. Helmut explains that Alaga informed him Darien knows the way out of the forest. Questioning Helmut's desire to leave, Darien notes the outside world isn't as serene as perceived. Curious, Helmut inquires about its nature. Darien responds, stating that while humans have frail bodies, they can be more ruthless than demonic beasts. Wondering about Helmut's origin, Darien learns he wasn't born in the forest. Observing, Darien notes Helmut possesses a seed of darkness, a fact Helmut acknowledges. Darien explains that children with this seed are usually eliminated, but Helmut, being of noble descent, was banished to the forest. Perplexed, Helmut receives the explanation that it holds no significance and is informed he must repay a debt to Alaga. Darien instructs him to pay close attention. Explaining the cause of Helmut's exile to the forest, Darien attributes it to the seed of darkness he bears. Darien warns that Helmut will be pursued even outside the forest due to this seed. Despite the risk, Darien questions Helmut's resolve to leave, and upon Helmut's affirmative nod, Darien welcomes him. Picking him up, Helmut, bewildered, queries Darien's actions. Observing Helmut's frustration, Darien remarks on his strong temper, advising Helmut that to enter the human world, he must first become human. Darien, while carrying him, declares his intention to transform him into a human. Helmut inquires about the way out of the forest, and Darien responds, indicating he must overcome the barrier, which currently seems insurmountable for him. Advising Helmut, Darien suggests he needs to enhance his strength before seeking guidance from someone who knows how to overcome the barrier. Curious about this person, Helmut inquires, but Darien keeps it undisclosed for now. When Helmut questions how to get stronger, Darien instructs him to follow his guidance. Intrigued, Helmut later asks Darien about the purpose behind his instructions. Darien explains that humans live in such a manner, prompting Helmut to remark on the untidiness of Darien's house. Darien suggests Helmut can also reside in the forest, causing frustration. Showing Helmut a bed, he eagerly lies down and asks if he can rest. Darien teasingly labels him lazy, stating there's more to be done and instructs him to change into the clothes he provides. Expressing discomfort with the clothes, Helmut finds them unpleasant, but Darien insists that's typical human attire. Despite the discomfort, Helmut complies. As they stroll outside, Helmut questions the purpose. Darien explains he'll teach him about edible items and how to prepare them, emphasizing that leaving the core of root organisms retains demonic energy. Darien notes that water is free from demonic energy, making it effective for purifying food. Instructing Helmut to try a bite, he's intrigued to find the previously inedible food now palatable. As they return for the day, Helmut acknowledges the importance of human knowledge, but questions the relevance of fetching water. He complains, but at the moment, a lurking presence in the bushes observing him. Unexpectedly, a logger attacks, startling Helmut and prompting him to leap away. The logger glances at him, questioning if he's attempting humor. Helmut explains Darien instructed him to fetch water for strength. The logger probes further, asking about his intentions once he becomes stronger. Helmut, wearing a somber expression, reveals his plan to journey to the human world. The logger, mirroring sadness, questions Helmut about his expectations upon leaving. Uncertain, Helmut admits he doesn't know, but he believes staying here won't yield anything positive. Determined, he informs her of his departure, expressing the hope to see her later. A logger, with great sorrow, turns away as she walks off, wishing him a good life in the human world. Engaged in training, Darien instructs Helmut to maintain a straight back. Helmut, fatigued, mentions his exhaustion, and Darien questions if he truly wants to leave the forest. Despite frustration, Helmut perseveres. Impressed, Darien observes Helmut's determination, contemplating the many attributes Helmut possesses beyond the seat of darkness, and deeming it worthwhile to teach him. Persisting until sunset, Helmut continues until Darien permits him to stop, collapsing from exhaustion. Darien catches him, and Helmut expresses his hunger. Darien agrees and prepares dinner. Advising Helmut to use a spoon, he excitedly devours the soup, enthusiastically stuffing himself and thoroughly enjoying the meal. Getting to his feet, Darien abstains from eating, instructing Helmut to pay attention as he eats. He tells Helmut that he came to leave the forest and is getting stronger. He acknowledging that because he is a human and not a demonic beast, he has his limits. Hence, he plans to instruct Helmut in the way of the sword. However, before delving into that, he feels it's essential to familiarize Helmut with what a sword is. Darien closes his eyes, holding the wooden sword, and deftly lowers it. He asks Helmut to watch closely what he does. Darien majestically swings his sword around. He lets out a groom and draws a massive amount of energy into his blade. He uses so much energy that he tears through the ground. Helmut remarks that the piece of wood was shining. Darien dances with his sword, and suddenly, he takes a big swing which destroys the boulder in front of him. The boulder breaks into several pieces and reveals Helmut. Helmut looks at what Darien did with his pure strength, Darien turns around and says that this is how humans survive. Helmut asks what Darien used to cut that boulder. Darien looks at his sword and says, "This is this. Just like demonic beasts have demonic energy, humans also have an invisible power." Helmut looks at his hand when Darien tells him that even the seat of darkness within him possesses a power source. Helmut wants to learn more and realizes that this was the power he felt when he met him in a laager. Suddenly, he gets hit in the face. Darien tells him not to be impatient because his body is not prepared to hold this yet. Helmut lies on the ground holding his head while Darien tells him that the most important thing right now is understanding the sword. Darien quietly looks at Helmut and then says that it will be difficult and painful, but he must keep going without giving up. He tells Helmut that if he puts his heart into the sword, he will reward him. He hands Helmut the wooden sword, and Helmut looks happy, telling him he will try hard. Darien yells at Helmut that he needs to focus properly. Helmut complained that he had done it enough and that his form was fine. Darien told him to address him respectfully. Helmut rephrased his words, and Darien told him that he had not done the form properly. He then asked Darien what the problem was. Darien told him that having proper form was not everything. Helmut looked confused, and Darien complained that he had to explain everything before he understood. Helmut looked mad and said, "Of course, if you don't want to should explain things properly at the start." He then complained that he would not understand anything if he spoke like that. Darien realized that Helmut got stranger the longer he looked at him. He did not like learning but grew faster than ever. The seed inside of him made him more violent, and he also grew up with demonic beasts. What he realized, though, was that he was incredibly rational and did not quit easily. He then thought to himself that there was something different about him. Darien walked up to him and said that he would teach him. He swung his wooden blade and hit him in his hand. Darien then mocked him and told him that he had grown weaker. Helmut was in pain and held his hand while also asking why he hit him twice. Darien then asked him if he understood the difference now. Helmut looked at him and said no. Darien told him that he would not get dinner if he did not answer. Helmut told Darien that he was beginning to get it. He then said that the amount of pain was different, and the speeds were different. Helmut asked himself why that was, even though the movements were the same. Darien asks Helmut if he understands now that simply imitating is not enough. He tells Helmut that even the smallest muscles help with the sword, from the fingertips until the speed of his swing combined with his understanding of mind and sword. These have to come under Helmut's control, says Darien. Only after doing that, Helmut will have truly learned anything. After devoting his heart and soul with this information, he can truly understand the way of the sword. Currently, Helmut is swinging his sword like a lumberjack and not a swordsman. Darien then yells, "Now again," and they continue training. Helmut arrives at the river, and when he's there, he tells himself that resting is also part of the training, but compared to swinging, it is very boring. Suddenly, a logger walks behind him, and Helmut greets her. She looks at him with confusion and tells him he had grown bigger in the short amount time he trained. The logger then tells him that is not a whole lot bigger, and Helmut ensure he will grow more. Helmut asks why Darien told him that he was indebted to a logger. She responds that she gave him special permission to live in her territory. Helmut says that she does not like to live with anyone and that she didn't want to fight him. Elaga tells him that he had grown more stupid. She tells him that she is the master of the Roots Forest Central Territory. She says no matter who it is, she will fight anyone. Then she stops and says, "Okay, maybe not all." She told him she was being cautious because the snake could attack her while she was fighting. Helmut asks Elaga if she means the master of the Western region. Elaga answers, "Yeah, that snake, because he was looking for the human to kill him, and if they were to fight, the snake could end them." Helmut asks Elaga who would win in a fight between her and Darien. Elaga looks away in the distance and then says, "Who knows? With demonic beasts, it is easy to tell who is stronger, but humans are harder because they can hide their strength." Helmut then asks Elaga, Does that mean you wouldn't win? Alaga answers that she is simply saying that she would not know. That's why Naho can't touch him, because he does not know how strong he is. Helmut asks Alaga, why would Naho hate Darien? Alaga explains that Darien destroyed the disgusting area that he had built. Helmut asks Alaga what area, and Alaga looks at him sadly. She then asks if he is curious. He answers, of course, and asks if that is a problem. Alaga tells him, all right, and decides to show him. Alaga quickly jumps through the forest from tree to tree. Helmut is visibly shocked at what he is seeing. Alaga nodded and remarked, that's right, this is the horrible area I was talking about. Helmut turned his gaze towards the scene and was appalled to see numerous individuals toiling as slaves, enduring the lash of a whip. Helmut leaped onto Alaga's back and observed the human form with a mixture of shock and disbelief. He couldn't fathom how such a place could even exist. Helmut's attention was drawn to a man who stumbled and was promptly reprimanded by another man, who proceeded to strike him with a whip. Confused, Helmut questioned why the man was being subjected to such brutality. Alaga explained that the man was being punished for not performing his duties adequately. The man then shifted his attention to a group of girls and ordered them to hurry indoors. Intrigued, Helmut scrutinized the girls and inquired about their purpose. Alaga asked if he was referring to the girls and clarified that they were being sent inside because they were considered food. Despite still being human, they were of a different gender and were preferred as a food source due to their lack of muscle. Alaga further explained that if the girls were too small, there would be nothing to eat, so they were grown on the farm to be consumed as food, while the males were destined to be lifelong slaves. Helmut seemed to grasp the concept, and Alaga added that the farm was protected by Naho, with one human leader overseeing its operations, and then slaves would communicate with this leader, who would inquire if they had gathered all the sacrifices. Upon receiving confirmation, the leader would then select one girl and inform her that she would be an exception, allowing her to live longer. Helmut asked if that man was the leader, and Alaga confirmed that he was indeed the leader. She explained that he was highly skilled at locating people who had been dropped in the forest, and it was fortunate that he hadn't found them. Helmut noticed that Alaga didn't treat him the same way and inquired about the reason. She responded with embarrassment, stating that she disliked the idea of Naho farm growing. Helmut smiled and remarked that it sounded like something she would do. Alaga turned around and informed him that they needed to go back. Suddenly, Alaga caught a scent and someone said, well, well, look who we have here. A large two-headed snake opened its mouth towards Alaga, who bared her teeth in response. The snake commented on missing her face and she questioned why he wasn't supposed to be sleeping. Helmut was terrified, realizing that Naho wasn't even doing anything, yet the pressure was overwhelming. Naho then asked if Helmut was the child she was raising. Laughingly, he mentioned that young males were the most delicious and asked if he could have a bite. Alaga declined, stating that he wouldn't enjoy human males anyway. Naho laughed and agreed, but then mentioned that he could smell Darien. He inquired about Helmut's relation to Darien. Alaga glared at Naho and called him a bastard, demanding to know where he thought he was sticking his face. He chuckled and reassured her not to get angry because he valued peace. Naho explained that he was merely checking him out because he smelled Darien on him. It had only been a few years since Darien had destroyed Naho's farm, so it was natural for him to be cautious. Alaga, stating that he had nothing to do with Darien and had only stolen some clothes. Naho expressed his relief, mentioning that if he were involved with Darien, he would have had to punish him. Alaga's expression turned furious as he warned him that if he even tried to touch Helmut, she would tear him apart. He sarcastically remarked that she looked scary and insisted he was joking, not wanting to fight her. He then asked if she could leave and expressed his hope to never see her again, as the mere thought of having her in his territory made him sick. Alaga glanced over at Helmut, who was barely holding himself together. Naho bid them farewell and slithered away. Helmut began to breathe heavily and eventually collapsed. Alaga noticed that he had fainted while they were walking home. Helmut complained of a headache, and Alaga informed him that he couldn't travel alone anymore because Manhwa was scared of him. Although Alaga couldn't be certain that Manhwa wouldn't come to their territory, then Helmut agreed to stay by her side. Alaga bumped him and asked why he looked so sad, telling him he needed to be careful. Helmut interrupted her and asked if he could ever become as strong as she and Darien. She looked at him. Helmut asked if it's going to be hard, and Alaga replied that Darien was strong, but she didn't know how strong he was at a level normal humans would never reach, even if they tried their whole life. Helmut looked shocked, and she told him it won't be easy and it will all depend on how he does from now on. But if he really wants to get stronger, and won't see it out of the forest, he has to do his very best. She looked at him and he looked down. She then turned around and said that the human was approaching and that she would leave now. Darien walked toward Helmut and noticed that he took a little trip with the logger. Helmut noticed and greeted Darien. He then said the sun was setting, so they should head home now. Helmut looked sadly to the ground as he followed Darien. While Alaga was walking home, she looked back and told herself that she would watch over Helmut. He looked at her and smiled. They then both went their separate ways. He groaned and sweated from the pain in his stomach. Helmut suffered from stomach pains all night. It was a night haunted by doubts. Darien might have tried to kill him. The day before, Darien had asked Helmut to start eating a strange herb before bed. Helmut asked what it was, and Darien responded that they were poisonous herbs. When Helmut wanted to ask why he was telling him to eat poison, Darien slapped him. He told him that it would help suppress the seed of darkness. Back in bed, Helmut remarked that it may be poisoned, but Darien never said it hurt this bad. He was sweating profusely and asked what Darien had fed him. We saw Darien looking at the moon and talking to himself. He said, 5 years, no, about 4 years is it? Then we saw Helmut training like crazy, hitting a tree. He hit the tree multiple times, leaving sword cuts behind. While he was training, Darien watched him slash at the tree. He walked up to him and told him that he had come to enjoy using the sword. Helmut told him that his body felt lighter and his vision seemed clear. Then he asked if it was because of the poisonous herb's effects. Darien told him that it could be because of the demonic. He asked if it had hurt recently, and Helmut answered no. He told him that he got a more refreshing feeling the morning after now. Darien noted that it had been a few months since Helmut started eating the herb and informed him that it was about time. As he walked, Darien asked Helmut if he remembered what he had said about this. Helmut replied, "You cannot see the power, which is also why it can be accumulated endlessly." Darien added that if Helmut's body and sword skills were not up to the basic level of training, then learning this would be pointless. He explained that this was the reason he had not taught him before, but now Helmut's body was ready. From today onwards, Darien would teach Helmut how to control this. Darien stood with a wooden sword in his hand, which appeared to be as heavy as an iron sword due to its size. He took a deep breath and tightened his grip on the sword. He infused his vis energy into the wooden sword, which seemed to strain Helmut. Darien instructed Helmut to melt the energy and the atmosphere and absorb it into his body, allowing him to control it freely. This way, they could materialize it through the sword. Darien explained to Helmut that this was how he could control this. From now on, Helmut had to pick up his sword and remember to keep breathing while they sparred. He had to absorb the energy and move with composure, thinking simply. If he lost the flow, he would forget about this. As Helmut received an attack head-on from Darien and felt the pain, Darien extended his hand. He then used his sword to stab in front of him, barely missing Helmut as he tried to evade the stabs. Helmut asked Darien if he was trying to kill him. Darien responded by asking why Helmut was losing his composure and mentioning that he didn't teach him that. Helmut attempted to calm himself down by taking a few deep breaths. After regaining his composure, he prepared himself and launched an attack on Darien, swinging his sword. However, Darien easily blocked all of Helmut's attacks and advised him to use his senses and absorb more energy in order to feel the true power. Darien then pushed Helmut back and explained that nobody can be perfect right from the start. He assured Helmut that they would continue training in this manner, and that it was okay if it took some time. While blocking another attack, Darien emphasized that Helmut just needed to show him his will. They continued sparring with smiles on their faces. Helmut kept thinking that he had to keep moving without resting, maintaining his flow and increasing his speed. Years passed, and Helmut continued his training, constantly contemplating how to merge the energy within his body. After several years of training and meditation, Helmut stood up and walked towards a tree. Opening his eyes, he felt a surge of energy coursing through his body. 4 years later, we see that Helmut has been persistently training, as it is now winter and he has just cut a tree in half. It is evident that he has been doing this for a while. Helmut questions himself if he should stop training for the day. Darien tells him that it has been 4 years, and Helmut asks if he had been watching him. Darien responds by stating that Helmut has finally improved a little. Helmut looks confused and admits that he still has room for improvement, asking Darien if he wants to have a duel today. Darien inquires if Helmut would be willing to display his vis, to which Helmut declines, citing a previous instance where Darien deemed him inadequate. Darien insists that Helmut should proceed, prompting Helmut to reluctantly gather his vis while Darien observes. Darien reflects on his earlier acknowledgement, acknowledging Helmut's remarkable ability to manifest vis at a young age. Darien predicts that Helmut has the potential to significantly impact the world, for better or worse. Observing Helmut, Darien believes it's time to let Helmut go into the world of humans. Darien starts by saying that the time has come. Helmut looks confused and asks him what he means. Darien looks at him and says that it is time for him to leave the forest. Helmut does not agree and says that he is not strong enough. Darien tells him that if Helmut's seat of darkness grows more, he won't be able to pass through the barrier. He tells him that now is the only time that Helmut should listen carefully because he will explain. Darien tells Helmut that the human world lies beyond the south of the forest. Helmut has to pass through a divine barrier to get there, and Darien heard that certain areas were weak. In theory, Helmut should be able to pass through those areas even if he has the seed of darkness. A human who can handle the weakened barrier should be able to pass. Helmut asks where it is, and Darien answers that he does not know either, but he knows someone who does. He tells Helmut that there is a human village near the two-headed snake's territory, and the village chief should know. Helmut realizes that Darien is talking about the same village that he and Alaga visited all those years ago. Helmut nods, and then Darien says that Helmut will experience many things and a human world because he lived in the forest. He will find the outside world exciting and entertaining, but tragedy always strikes without a sound. Darien continues by saying that having one's guard up and avoiding it is not possible. He tells Helmut that when that time comes, he will feel powerless and be in a lot of pain. He might even despair and reach out to the darkness, but under any circumstances, he should never lose himself. Darien ended his monologue by stating that that was all he asked of Helmut. He then inquired if Helmut had any questions. Helmut asked if he was certain that Darien had no intention of joining him. Darien coughed and confirmed, saying yes. He then informed Helmut that if he had nothing else to say, he was going to take a nap, and suggested that Helmut visit him in the morning so he could give him something. Darien turned down and expressed his desire to spend some time alone after such a long period. He walked away while Helmut silently watched. As night fell, Helmut sat on a cliff, gazing at the water with anger in his eyes. A logger approached him from behind and commented that he did not seem excited about the next day. He turned his head and replied, admitting that he could leave this place, but he felt conflicted. He couldn't explain why he felt this way. Alaga looked at him and rested her head, telling him that it was evidence of his gradual transformation into a human. The following morning, Helmut about to enter Darien's home. He turned around, and a logger told him to go in. He opened the door to find Darien waiting for him inside, placing a bag and a sword in front of him. Darien had his eyes closed and did not respond when Helmut called out to him. Helmut grew quieter and called out again, stating that he had a vague feeling already, but now it was truly time to leave. He picked up his sword and the bag, taking one final glance at the deceased Darien before closing his eyes and walking away, thinking to himself, "I will remember." Helmut closed the door and walked towards a logger. She started by saying that it seemed his lifespan had ended. When he asked how she knew, she answered that he had told her a while ago. When Helmut looked sad, the logger told him that whenever there was a meeting, a parting was sure to follow. She used her tail to throw something towards Helmut. Curious, he asked what it was, and she told him that he was wearing it when he got dropped in the forest. She asked him to take a look because it might help him find his family. The logger also mentioned that it was a rare metal and that he must have been a noble's child. Helmut opened the medal and saw an engraving that said, "Let there be light on your path," with the name Margaret Irene. The logger asked if it was the leader's name, but Helmut said it was probably his mother. Elga told him that he needed to find her when he got out of the forest, as she might be able to help him. She then asked if he was going to the farm and warned that the snake wouldn't come out because it was in hibernation. She couldn't join him because if she entered his territory, he would sense her. Helmut reassured her that she didn't have to worry because he would handle himself. The logger looked at him and told him he should hurry because this was his only chance. He told her that she should live a long life. She laughed and told him to take care of himself as well. It was a cold night at the farm, and a hooded figure was walking into a house. The figure closed the door and turned on a candle with magic. Suddenly, the figure heard something and looked up, only to feel a sword pressing against his throat with a voice telling him not to move. Black magic is considered an evil power that seemingly grants even weak mages with strength. Among the numerous mages, there are individuals who would go beyond moral boundaries in order to acquire stronger magic and power. Ergo, a mage, was always envious and jealous of others. He had dreams of becoming the strongest, but believed that he lacked the talent and chose the path of black magic. In order to practice this forbidden magic, he believed that he needed to tap into the dark emotions of humans. To obtain these materials, he resorted to kidnapping and human trafficking, inflicting suffering and fear upon his victims. These actions only served to make Ergo more evil and more powerful. However, his evil deeds were eventually exposed to the world due to the pursuit of a certain mage. As a result, Ergo was captured and faced the choice of either death or exile. He chose exile and was sent to the Forest of Roots. It was there that he encountered a two-headed snake who offered him a portion of its territory in exchange for his sacrifices. Ergo utilized his magic to gather all the humans who had been exiled to the forest, forcing them to submit to his rule under the threat of being killed by the demonic beasts that roamed the area. This marked the creation of the human farm, with Ergo as its king and the other humans as mere livestock. However, the true master of the territory was Naho, who allowed Ergo to continue his work as long as he provided sacrifices. While serving Naho, Ergo began to once again pursue his ambitions. However, every winter, he couldn't help but feel nervous, as Naho's hibernation would attract attacks from the demonic beasts in the area. Despite this minor inconvenience, Ergo considered it a small price to pay for the great new life he had built for himself. Back in the present, Ergo asked Helmut what he wanted. Helmut blade pressed against his throat. Helmut replied that he wanted a way to escape the forest, and he knew that Ergo had the knowledge. Ergo, slightly annoyed, referred to Helmut as a rude young brat and questioned if he was Darien's disciple. Helmut ignored the remark and urged Ergo to just share what he knew. Ergo asked why he should, to which Helmut responded by pressing the blade even closer, warning that Ergo would die if he didn't comply. Ergo then revealed that if he died, Lord Naho would awaken from hibernation, resulting in Helmut's demise as well. He further challenged Helmut, questioning if he truly believed he could defeat Lord Naho as a mere human. Helmut dismissed the concern, instead asking if Naho had the power to resurrect the dead. He whispered to Erago, cautioning him against any tricks. Erago argued that he was the only one who knew how to escape the forest, emphasizing that if Helmut killed him, he would never find a way out. Helmut acknowledged that mages were known for their obsession with recording information, implying that he would search Erago's house to find what he needed. He simply wanted to streamline the process. Erago smirked and told Helmut that he was not a pushover. He would explain how to escape the forest. They were both walking down the stairs, with Helmut holding his sword against Erago's neck. Erago asked Helmut for his name, to which Helmut replied that it was none of his business. Erago accepted this but still wanted to share something with him. He mentioned that the method he had discovered was purely theoretical and had never been attempted, or even possible for anyone else. Therefore, what Helmut was doing was useless, although it could have been possible for Darien. Erago noted that Darien's absence meant he had no intention of leaving. He asked Helmut what had happened to him, but noticed that Helmut did not answer. Erago concluded that Darien must be dead and laughed as he grabbed a book. Helmut demanded that Erago hand over the book, but Erago told him to wait. He then asked Helmut if he wanted to become a successor and live in that place. Erago believed Helmut was worthy because he was Darien's disciple, while everyone else was weak. Erago promised to give Helmut everything in that place. Helmut's grip on his sword tightened as he raised it, declaring that he did not need what Erago had to offer. He vowed to survive and escape on his own. Helmut told Erago to shut up and hand over the book. Erago responded by saying that if Helmut insisted on having the book, there was no helping it. He explained that the book he had discovered in a hideout belonged to Midge, who had talent in stealth magic. Unfortunately, it seemed Midge had been unable to escape the forest. The book mentioned a huge waterfall at the southern end of the forest, where the water and demonic energy weakened the power of the barrier. Helmut might be able to pass through the weakened barrier by throwing himself into the waterfall. However, the barrier surrounding the forest was of the highest level, so anyone with even a little demonic energy would be turned to ashes. That was all Erago knew. Helmut then told him that he would spare his life. Helmut thought to himself that he didn't like Erago, but Darien had taught him not to underestimate the value of life. Despite surviving because of the leopard's mercy, Helmut felt compelled to punch Erago in the stomach. Erago flew back, screaming in pain. Taking advantage of Erago's weakened state, Helmut proceeded to tie him up. Helmut then pressed a pressure point on Erago's body, causing him to wake up and scream due to the blocked mana. Helmut informed Erago that he would be released after a certain period of time and advised him to stop engaging in harmful activities. In response, Erago insulted Helmut, calling him an arrogant bastard and questioning his chances of making it out of the forest alive. Helmut stopped in his tracks, turned around, and smiled before confidently stating that he would indeed make it out alive. He walked away, leaving behind an enraged Erago who wondered how Helmut could have treated him in such a manner. Determined to crush Helmut's confidence, Erago activated the crystal on his forehead, causing his ears and eyes to bleed. He declared his intention to destroy Helmut's self-assurance and desperately called upon Lord Naho to awaken. The ground shook as a red light filled the room, and Naho emerged from the ground with a mighty roar. Naho warned Erago not to have awakened him for trivial matters, but Erago assured him that it was an emergency and that he would understand. Erago informed Naho of Darien's death and the presence of his disciple. Naho smiled and began to laugh, causing even Erago to feel terrified. Naho saw this as the perfect opportunity to eliminate anything left behind by Darien. He broke through a wall and assured Erago that he would find him. Erago laughed at the idea that Helmut believed he could escape after treating him in such a way. He laughed in an erratic manner, stating that nothing in the world is free, and warned Helmut to brace himself. Helmut jumped from tree to tree, heading towards the spot Arago had pointed out. As he leaped, he pondered to himself that he should have killed Arago. The animals nearby were running in fear, indicating that something was amiss. Before Helmut could finish his thought, an evil aura shook his core, interrupting him. He sighed, realizing he had to run for his life. Coming to a stop, Helmut acknowledged that he had not yet escaped his territory. He muttered that this was as far as he could go, gazing up at the sky engulfed in Naho's demonic energy. Noticing something, he placed his hand on his sword handle and looked up as the ground trembled. Suddenly, Naho appeared before him, his demonic energy distorting the sky. Naho greeted Helmut, mentioning that he had expected his return. He declared that Helmut was a long-awaited guest and couldn't be allowed to leave. In response, Helmut informed Naho that he would leave after killing him. Naho laughed, remarking that Helmut was braver than last time, but questioned what he could do with his fragile human body. He taunted Helmut, stating that resistance was futile and that he should hurry and enter his stomach. Naho then went underground, causing a massive explosion that threw Helmut back. As the dust settled, Helmut realized he needed to find Naho. Suddenly, Naho commended Helmut for dodging the attack. Helmut turned around and saw that Naho had completely surrounded him. Naho laughed, instructing Helmut to keep struggling. Intimidated by Naho's eyes, Helmut urged himself to calm down. Despite his formidable opponent, he believed his opportunity would come. He focused on Naho, vowing not to back down. Naho charged up a demonic energy blast and launched it at Helmut, who managed to dodge the attack. Helmut saw this as his chance and leaped into the air, landing on Naho's tail. He swiftly ran towards Naho's head, thinking to himself that no matter how powerful Naho's demonic energy was, there would be a vulnerable spot where his vis could penetrate. Unsheathing his sword, Helmut slashed right into Naho's eye, successfully inflicting a cut. Naho's head throbs with pain as Helmut realizes he has only delayed the inevitable. He cannot defeat Naho at his current level. Knowing he used too much vis for his last attack, Helmut decides to retreat, aware that he will die if he continues to fight. Naho screams at the other head, urging it to pull itself together and demanding it to be quiet. Helmut contemplates escaping when he witnesses something shocking. Naho bites off and begins devouring the other head while hurling insults at him. Despair washes over Helmut as he looks back, and Naho taunts his other head, asking if he couldn't handle a little pain. Naho expresses relief, claiming to have gotten rid of the useless part and now intends to eliminate Helmut. Despite being weakened, Helmut summons all his strength to block Naho's attack with his sword, but he is thrown back and lands against a tree. Naho stands in the resulting crater, realizing that Helmut managed to hide after being hit. With one head lost, Naho's vision is impaired, making it harder for him to see. Naho slithers through woods while searching for Helmut. Exhausted and leaning against a tree, Helmut gazes at his sword, acknowledging that he knew Naho was strong, but he is clearly outmatched. He contemplates slashing Naho's eyes as a last resort and attempts to flee, but he senses a surge of demonic energy. Naho appears behind him, declaring that he has finally found him. Naho taunts Helmut, questioning if he believed he could hide in the forest. Frustrated, Helmut clicks his tongue as Naho prepares to attack. Just as Naho opens his mouth to strike, as Helmut prepares to retaliate, he reassures himself that he cannot meet his end in this manner. Suddenly Helmut catches a glimpse of a blue light, and a logger suddenly appears in front of him. Naho greets a logger, remarking that it has been a long time, while a logger stands before him, baring her teeth with a furious expression. Helmut looked up, surprised, and called out to a logger. He felt overwhelmed by a logger's demonic energy. A logger looked at him and commended him for surviving, instructing him to leave the rest to her. Helmut wanted to tell her that he would help, but she cut him off, insisting that he go. She looked at him and said he had something more important to do, urging him to quickly find his freedom. Helmut was taken aback by her words. He wanted to disagree, but when she shouted at him to leave now, he fell silent. Lowering his head, he thanked her for everything and ran away, while Alaga prepared to face Naho. Alaga approached Naho with a murderous look in her eyes. Naho appeared angry and screamed at Alaga for daring to stop her in her own territory. Alaga looked at him and stated that she was doing what she needed to do. He laughed and remarked on their tear-jerking friendship with the disgusting species. Naho suggested that he should thank her for coming alone, as he planned to kill her immediately and then eat the boy. Confused, Naho asked how he would achieve that with only one head when he couldn't even do it with two. He screamed, and Alaga growled, as they both lunged forward to attack each other. Helmut asked himself if it was finally over. He had been running for a few days, killing demonic beasts on his way. He believed that as long as they were not at Naho's level, he could cut them down without any problems. He looked down and pondered how he would not have survived the forest if he hadn't met Alaga in Darien. He looked up, realizing he only had one chance for the sake of Alaga and Darien. He had to get out of this forest. He surveyed his surroundings, noting that this place was different from Alaga territory. He could not sense any demonic energy, and the seat of darkness seemed agitated. Helmut thought it was reacting because of the divine barrier, and was grateful he had covered himself in this. Suddenly, a feather dropped into his hand. He looked up and saw a massive bird flying over him. Helmut braced himself as the bird landed, and it asked what business a human child would have in her territory. Helmut knew that the black midge was hiding something. He couldn't believe that a demonic beast lived so close to the barrier. The bird introduced herself as a Grell, the ruler of the south. According to Alaga, she had a high curiosity. She told him she smelled something familiar from him, the fake scent of blood that she could never forget. She could also faintly smell Naho's scent and Alaga's scent. Finding it very interesting, she asks him whose kin he is, and he answers Alaga kin. She looks at him and says, "In that case, it means that Alaga's kin has intruded on my territory." Helmut tells her that he is not here on her orders and that he has his own reasons. She asks for his reasons and expresses her curiosity to hear them. Helmut tells himself to calm down and explains that the reason is that he might do something meaningful for her. She asks if he is referring to her and he answers affirmatively, stating that this is the perfect opportunity for her to satisfy her curiosity because he is going to be the first being to cross the barrier and make it out of the forest. She starts laughing, and Helmut looks back at her with a determined look. She tells him that it is not possible and informs him that with the seat of darkness, he is no different than a demonic beast. He tells her to let him try since he is the only human who made it here, and will attempt to get past that divine barrier. She questions Helmut, wondering if he wants her to let a human prey get away and burned by the barrier, deeming it a waste. He tells her that there will always be humans dropping into the forest, but only one can make it past the barrier, and that person is him. She looks at him and turns her head while contemplating. She calls him smart and admits that she does want to see him try it. She agrees that he is the only one who is foolish enough to risk his life to escape the forest. She tells him that it is none of her business if he dies or survives, but if he does, he will be the first human to get out of the forest. He adds that she would be the first demonic beast to witness that happen. She laughs and says that he is making her interested. She agrees and wants to see him try it, even offering to protect him until he reaches the barrier. In case he does not make it, he should tell her his last words and she will pass them on to Alaga if they ever meet. Helmut tells her to tell Alaga that he made it out of the forest. They look at each other and Grell asks if that means no matter what the result is. He looks back determined and she says she will. He activates his vis and Grell calls her Alaga's special child. He opens his eyes and takes a deep breath. He jumps, knowing that he only has one chance. He enters the water and starts swimming with a protective bubble from Grell. She is protecting him. He gets pulled in by a strong current and finds himself losing control. He then reaches the barrier, which releases a lot of energy and light upon contact. He thinks to himself that he has to move forward. He looks determined and the light gets increasingly brighter. He tells himself that he has to go beyond the forest of roots. Divinity represents the power of purification, serving as a protective force for humans and rejecting impurity. Helmut attempts to swim through a barrier, struggling and gradually losing consciousness. Suddenly, a bright light permeates his body, causing him to experience an unprecedented level of pain. Unable to maintain consciousness, to demonic beasts he is a human, but to humans he is a demonic beast. Confused and disoriented, Helmut questions his whereabouts and where he should go. A carriage bearing the emblem of pace appears, and upon hearing someone curse, they inform a person named Tanya that they are near the forest of roots. Finn wonders why they have stopped in such a location, to which Tanya explains that they need to rest in order to continue their journey safely. She warns that encountering a demonic beast while exhausted would require even a rank for mercenary like Finn to join the battle. Finn, appearing scared, complains about the situation, prompting Tanya to scold him and instruct him to fetch water. Annoyed, Finn mentions that it is getting dark, provoking an angry glare and a kick from Tanya. Mocking his walk, they urge him to hurry before nightfall. Feeling unsettled, Finn decides to retrieve water and return quickly. However, he notices something unusual in his bucket, initially mistaking it for seaweed. Upon closer inspection, he realizes it is Helmut lying on the ground, barely breathing. Filled with terror, he screams loudly, alerting the entire forest. He rushes back to the group, who inquire about the commotion. Finn claims to have seen a dead body, but they dismiss his statement and mock him. Tanya asks for the location, expressing her intention to investigate. Finn points in a certain direction and she insists Finn to lead him, emphasizing the need to retrieve the water bucket. As they search the area, Finn assures Tanya that he saw a dead body in the ravine. Skeptical, Tanya warns him that if he mistook it for something else, she will kill him. Finn assures her that he did not mistake it and points towards Helmut, stating that he is over there. Approaching the body, both Tanya and Finn gaze at him, confirming that he is indeed deceased. However, Tanya notices that Helmut is still breathing. She calls for Finn to join her, causing him to become frightened. Tanya examines Helmut's body and tells Finn that he is still alive. Tanya informs Finn that he is waking up and asks Helmut how he feels. As Helmut opens his eyes, he wonders where he is and questions if he managed to escape the forest. Tanya reassures him not to be afraid and assures him that he is safe here. She explains that Finn found him and initially thought he was dead, but it is a relief that he is all right. Tanya inquires about his name, to which he responds by saying he is Helmut and doesn't remember anything else. Concerned, Tanya observes that he doesn't appear to be injured and wonders if he may have hit his head. She introduces herself as a rank 3 silver metal mercenary of the Pace Mercenary Corps and extends her hand. Helmut shakes it and silently expresses gratitude for encountering another human. Tanya asks if he knows his whereabouts, to which he admits he doesn't. She reveals that they are in the decay forest and emphasizes that it must be serious if he can't even recall where he passed out. Tanya further asks if he remembers anything else, but he informs her that he only knows his name and how to wield a sword. Tanya finds this to be good news, as he appears physically fine. However, she suggests that he should have a doctor examine his head. She assures him that they will assist him until he can walk on his own and that he can trust her, as she will take responsibility for him. Helmut expresses his gratitude and finds solace as he rests on a rock, realizing that he barely survived and will need time to fully recover. He notes that his vis is now even weaker than when he first began training and hopes that the seat of darkness will disappear, but it remains within his body. He silently thanks his lucky stars that it wasn't for the seed, as he would have likely died by now. In order to protect himself in the human world, he decides to pretend to have lost his memories for the time being. He then grabs his shirt and pulls out the necklace, telling himself that he needs to find the owner of it. He looks up at the sky and reminds himself not to rush, but to take it slow. He has only taken the first step. Everyone is surprised to see Helmut cleaned up and comments that he looks like a different person now. They even wonder if he's a noble, considering the drastic change from washing up. As Helmut walks by, Finn follows him with jealousy evident on his face. Finn remarks on how Helmut looked like a corpse in the water and asks if he might be a noble or come from a wealthy family. Helmut responds by saying that he doesn't remember anything. Tanya then puts her arm on his shoulder and reassures him that it doesn't matter who he is currently. He is now a newbie member of their mercenary corps. Finn asks Tanya if she slept well, to which she responds by asking Helmut how he's feeling and noting that he looks better after freshening up. Finn interrupts, suggesting that Tanya is only being nice because Helmut is handsome. Tanya quickly silences him by punching him in the face and telling him to shut up and prepare for departure. Finn falls to the ground, and Tanya continues speaking, explaining that they will arrive at the village in 4 days and Helmut can follow them there. She promises to introduce him to a doctor upon their arrival. Helmut agrees, addressing Tanya by her name, and she commends him for responding well. Tanya then instructs everyone to gather their belongings because they will be leaving soon. Finn asked Helmut if he would be all right and if he was not pushing himself after waking up. He told Helmut that the carriage was moving fast, making it difficult to keep up with. Helmut tells him that he needs to walk so he can loosen up his body. Finn called him weird and remarked that he must like horses. Helmut agreed. Finn thought to himself that Helmut didn't seem to be a noble, but also didn't look ordinary. Helmut referred to the horse as a very docile organism. Finn thought that Helmut spoke weirdly and was probably around his age but seemed a bit restrained. Finn called out to Helmut, who was sweating. Helmut admitted he was out of breath. Finn suggested he get on the carriage, as they would only fall behind if he walked slowly. Helmut looked determined and insisted he wouldn't fall behind. Finn told him he could do as he liked. Finn walked behind him and complained that Helmut didn't think about people who worried about him. He called him a bona fide young master. Helmut found it weird that he was so tired, as even in the forest never took him more than a day to recover. He breathed out and believed it would get better as he kept walking. The doctor thought and scratched his head, concluding that there didn't seem to be anything particularly wrong with Helmut. He noted Helmut's sturdy build and believed people like him should recover quickly. Tanya asked the doctor if he had properly examined Helmut. The doctor looked at her with a shocked expression. Angry, she accused him of being a crazy quack. He also got angry and claimed he had the constitution to recover quickly, stating there was no problem no matter how they looked at Helmut. Finn asked if the doctor thought Helmut's amnesia would disappear. The doctor told him that his memories would probably return sooner or later because there was nothing wrong with his head. He threw the medicine and told them to screw off, unable to believe that some kids dared to call him a quack. Tanya became furious and called him a crazy old man. Finn then told Tanya to wait and yelled for someone to stop her. The sun was setting as Tanya approached Helmut, asking him if he was all right. She mentioned that Finn had told her about his difficulty in walking. Helmut assured her that he had taken medicine and rested at the inn, feeling much better now. Tanya smiled and commented on the doctor's observation that his body and grip were highly trained. She suggested that he may have learned the sword from a skilled swordmaster, which Helmut agreed with, feeling a sense of familiarity when he held the sword. Tanya then proposed a duel, suggesting it as a way for him to loosen up his body and possibly regain his memories. She assured him that they could wait until tomorrow to do anything. Helmut pondered her offer, considering Tanya's reputation as a rank 3 silver medal mercenary and the respect she commanded in the human world. Ultimately, he agreed, seeing it as an opportunity to gauge his own strength. The next day, Tanya and Helmut arrived at the training ground where several people were practicing with wooden equipment. The others were surprised to see Helmut there, ready to duel with Tanya, and expressed their interest in watching. They jokingly warned Tanya not to hurt Helmut's face, which annoyed her, leading her to slap them both. Tanya then handed Helmut a wooden sword and explained that the only rule was for one of them to fall to the ground. She encouraged him to give it his all, reminding him that she was still a vice-captain despite her appearance. Helmut, though he is not at his best condition because he can't use this, decided to redirect Tanya's attacks rather than relying solely on strength. He took a deep breath, determined not to let his guard down. The others looked on in surprise, wishing him luck as he prepared for the duel. Helmut jumped forward while Tanya stepped backward. He scanned for an opening and noticed her left waist, but she quickly blocked it with a smile. Helmut realized that she was stronger than him, surprising him. Knowing he couldn't fight her head-on, Helmut anticipated her sudden attack and managed to evade it. He strategized to dodge and counter, but Tanya took a deep breath and turned down. With a swift kick to his liver, Helmut was sent flying backward. While flying back, he thinks his body can't follow the movements that he plans and it feels like he is underwater. He asks himself what he should do next. Tanya glanced at him, remarking that he thought too much. She unleashed a series of attacks, which Helmut struggled to block. Suddenly, she found an opening in his defense and thrust her wooden sword into his stomach, sending him crashing to the ground in pain. Tanya retrieved her sword as the crew looked concerned. Holding the sword to his head, and frustrated, Helmut admitted his loss, to which Tanya inquired about his frustration. He explained that he felt beaten so one-sidedly, believing she had far more openings compared to Darien, and her swordsmanship lacked efficiency. Tanya commented that his performance was decent and that he fought well. Helmut questioned if Tanya was stronger than he had expected, considering Darien's warning about the human world. He couldn't believe he was defeated by someone ranked 3. Amidst the laughter of onlookers, someone said to Helmut that Tanya was a good fighter even in the mercenary corps and that it was obvious he would lose. He advised him not to be discouraged. Others chimed in, complimenting Helmut's performance and noting his difference from Finn. A man named Finn, who had spoken to Helmut earlier, introduced himself as the captain of the Pace Mercenaries and a rank 2 gold medal mercenary. Finn congratulates Helmut for passing the entrance exam. Helmut looks surprised and confused. Finn tells him that they saved him, so they don't want him to wander when he doesn't even have his memory. They thought they should just bring him along with them, and they tried to test him. The mercenary corps is not some team anyone can just join, so everyone was watching when he was going to the town. Helmut thinks and realizes that was the reason no one approached him besides Tanya and Finn. They could have left him, so these people went out of their way to save him. Finn tells him that he didn't cause trouble and he didn't flirt with his sister Tanya, so everyone agreed to let him in. He gave Helmut his rank for mercenary certificate. He tells him that this is a temporary ID, so he has to make sure to officially register at the guild later. He tells everyone to greet Helmut since he is an official member of the group. Several people introduced themselves. Bern is a rank 3 silver metal mercenary and Yuta is the same. Maros and Sean are also rank 3 silver metal mercenaries. He says that everyone is except Finn. Finn is a rank 4 bronze. Helmut thinks about and remembers that Darien said to not trust humans too much. He wonders if it will be okay. Helmut asks Finn how long he has to stay in the mercenary corps. He tells him that he might regain his memories and have to leave. Then he tells him that he is free to leave the corps whenever he likes. He only has to stay with them during a request. Helmut thinks that this might be a good thing instead of walking around aimlessly. It might help him find clues about his birth faster. He also wants to know what it means to be comrades. Miles yells at Finn, stating that it is an important mission. He tells Finn that rank 4 mercenaries can participate. They have already agreed on Finn, and now he brings up another one, telling him that he will definitely be useful. They have been doing business for a long time, so Sir Miles should know that they aren't bringing him for no reason. Miles tells him that he hopes Finn can take responsibility, and Miles assures him that he will allow this time. Finn thanks him, and in exchange, Miles agrees to pay the rank for a third of the price. He asks Finn if he knows that the Tariq Corps will also be joining, and Finn confirms that he is aware. Miles announces that they have to depart at 7 in the morning tomorrow, and he tells Corp that he will see them then and leave the room. Tanya comments that the conversation went well, and Finn agrees. Tanya asks Helmut if his body is feeling okay, and Helmut confirms that it does. Finn informs everyone that tomorrow will be a large-scale escort request, so even if they get ambushed, the rank 4s won't have to fight unless it is an urgent situation. Tanya instructs the rank 3s to prepare because they don't know what they are transporting, making it hard to predict the strength of the ambushers. Tanya wishes everyone a good sleep, and someone calls Helmut's name, advising him to ignore the Tariq Corps if they try to pick on him, as they don't have the best relationship with them. He reveals that Tariq Corp dislike their good reputation. Finn tells everyone that since that's over, they can see each other tomorrow morning, and then dismisses the whole corp. It's nighttime, and Helmut is standing outside, feeling angry. He reflects on his fight and acknowledges that saying he was not fully recovered would be an excuse. He knows that there were many openings, but he just wasn't able to stab faster than Tanya. He realizes that the current him is quite weak and decides to focus on getting back into shape. He swings his sword and remarks that it is just like when he first started training in the Forest of Roots. The next day, they arrived at the request site. Finn then informed them that this was an important task and promised them a substantial amount of money, emphasizing the need to complete it safely. Tanya raised her hat and confidently stated that they would definitely earn their money's worth. Finn, feeling incredibly sick, suspected it was due to having too much soup in the morning. He turned to Helmut and asked if he would be all right today, considering the upcoming challenges. Helmut, appearing annoyed, believed that Finn was looking down on him because of a previous incident where he had fallen. He assured Finn that he would endure it. Finn tapped Helmut's shoulder and advised him not to take it too seriously and wishing him luck since it was the first request for both of them. Helmut responded without showing any emotions, saying, "All right," which left Finn puzzled. Uncomfortably, Finn laughed as they reached the carriages. Then Finn tells Sir Miles that everyone was present. Miles welcomed them and pointed towards the carriage, indicating that those were the items they would be guarding. Finn tells him that he understand, and Sir Miles instructed the group to move to the rear of the formation. Finn called out to Helmut, pointing out that those were the individuals from the Tariq Mercenary Corps. The person turned to Finn and asked where he was looking, questioning how someone with a scrawny body could handle a sword. Finn became irritated by the comments, and the person insulted Helmut, suggesting that he should hide in the back and keep up. Helmut, aware of their strained relationship, wondered if they were evaluating his abilities. He considered it similar to comparing strength with an opponent, whether human or demonic beast. Helmut speculated if the person who spoke was their leader, noting that he didn't appear particularly strong. He resolved to keep a close eye on him, at least until the completion of this request. A few days later, Finn tripped over someone's foot. He laughed and sarcastically apologized for making the same mistake every day. Finn grew annoyed because this person would intentionally trip him during every break. He asked them how long they planned on doing this. The person laughed with an evil grin and claimed it was an accident. If Finn was truly upset, they challenged him to hit them, but only if he could. He and his crew looked at him with evil smiles and Finn looked away in fear. The person noticed Helmut and insulted him, saying he looked like a bitch and promised to buy him flowers next time they saw each other. Helmut glanced at the person and suggested that they should leave. He walked away while the mercenaries watched them. He grew angry, and one of his crewmates asked if he had been ignoring him since the start of their request. Someone mentioned that he was a bit unique and asked if it was okay to keep provoking him. The person became even angrier and questioned what a rank 4 like them could do. He corrected them, stating that he was actually a rank 3, but temporarily demoted due to an arm injury. Apparently, he only needed one hand to deal with those guys. Someone wanted to mention that he broke his arm because he was drunk, but the person grabbed him and threatened to kill him if he said anything else. He grew annoyed and blamed his brother, who had allegedly caused him to lose his rank in a few fights. His brother warned him that if he caused another scene, he would be kicked out. He felt that his brother was looking down on him just because he was a rank 2. He claimed that Helmut had been annoying him since day 1, but today he chose to ignore him, which made him want to kill him. He threw the person back to the group and expressed his intention to ask them something. They asked what it was, and he opened his hand, stating that they would have to help him with something later. He thought to himself that he would show Helmut something nice. Finn throws a rock and informed Helmut that he was going crazy with anger. It had only been 3 days, but the harassment from Finn's tormentors hadn't ceased. He questioned Caleb's lack of a life and considered having a rank 3 among rank 4s as a form of cheating. Finn expressed his belief that something fishy was going on and mentioned that everyone was getting nervous. He couldn't even report the situation like a child because being a mercenary seemed like a joke to him. Annoyed, Finn declared that he would fetch water and warned that if they provoked him again, he wouldn't hold back. He walked away from Helmut, who looked up and noticed something. Finn complained about the effort required to get water, and decided to take less today since there was still enough for tomorrow. He planned to rest, knowing it would be difficult to sleep once they entered the area where the demonic beasts appeared. As Finn wondered when he would be able to fight them, someone behind Finn laughed. Finn turned around and the person told him that he had chosen a great location. Members of the Tariq Corps looked at Finn with evil smiles. Finn was terrified when they told him that it was a nice evening to have a conversation. Caleb smiled and said, "Don't you think?" While keeping his foot on Finn's back, he asked if he ever took a bath with his friend. Finn called him a bastard and said that he was thinking of some weird stuff. Helmut, he definitely a dude. Caleb laughed and said that he hadn't seen it for sure and that they called him over to check. Caleb noticed something and turned around. Caleb praised his lackey for bringing him and called Helmut innocent for just coming along. Helmut looked and thought to himself that he knew that something was up. Even the demonic beasts and the forest fought for their hierarchy. At this rate, there was no difference between humans and demonic beasts. He thought that these were the guys that Darien warned him about. Caleb smiled and said, "Well then," as he walked up to him and said that he wanted to check. Helmut got ready and thought to himself that he still couldn't use his this and that he was a bit nervous, but he had fought Naho in the forest, so he just needed to keep his guard up. He thought to himself that Finn was correct. These guys were ranked 4, so they should be weaker than Tanya since she was ranked 3. He would be on the defense and then attack the weakest one. If he couldn't hold out against them, he would use Darien's swordsmanship. They'd all jump up and attack him while shouting to get him and strip him. Suddenly, one of the attackers was punched in the face, causing everyone to look scared at the unexpected turn of events. Tanya stood in front of Helmut, her fist extended, and asked what was going on. Caleb appeared shocked, while Helmut looked confused. Tanya questioned why the Tariq Corps was bothering the Pace Corps. Caleb smiled and explained that they were just trying to have a conversation. Tanya confronted him, mentioning that she had heard him ordering them to strip Helmut. Caleb laughed and remarked that men nurtured their friendship in such a way, implying that Tanya wouldn't understand because she was a woman. This made Tanya furious, and she asked Caleb if he could use his brain to speak. She then instructed Helmut to bring Finn, referring to them as the rank 4s. Caleb told her to leave him out of it since he was originally a rank 3 mercenary. Tanya insisted that he was now a rank 4, or was she mistaken? Caleb, seemingly annoyed, laughed and Tanya warned him that if there was another incident where they bothered Pace Corp mercenaries, it wouldn't just end with talking. She then instructed him to leave, and Caleb told everyone to go, carrying the unconscious attacker with them. Finn called out to Tanya, and she told him to stop crying because such things would happen frequently from now on. She asked him to get the water and go back, to which he agreed. Tanya felt angry that the mercenary corps members seemed heartless, as it was an unwritten rule not to interfere in fights between rank 4s. She believed they should at least offer some help to prevent falling apart before then. It is night, and Helmut is training in the forest. He swings his sword and with a sigh of relief, he asks himself if this is enough today. After cutting a bunch of trees, Helmut feels like his body is fine now, but that would be expected after he only focused on recovering since the start of the request. He grips his sword tightly and thinks that he has only one problem. He looks at his sword and then says that he still hasn't recovered enough to use this. He thinks about Darien, and how he said that this is like water, and his body is the vessel that holds it. If his body was not up to standard, there would be no point in training this. Helmut thinks to himself that he already knows that. He says that he can't train as he wants right now, but he will keep growing his strength. Finn calls everyone's attention and explains that from this region, demonic beasts are more likely to appear. He tells them that no one can do individual activities. Finn tells them that they can't even pee alone, and that if they want to get water, they should bring a rank 3 mercenary. Finn looks at him and tells him that he understands. Helmut realizes that he can't train alone now. He just hopes that his vis will come back before the Seed of Darkness starts going rampage. Finn asked Helmut if he had ever seen a demonic beast before. Helmut questioned Finn, wanting to know why he was asking. Finn explained that Bern and Sean had told him that demonic beasts were gross-looking, so he wanted to be prepared. He asked Helmut if he knew anything more about them. Helmut assured Finn that he wasn't scared, but he did have some knowledge about demonic beasts. Finn laughed awkwardly, stating that knowledge is power. Helmut replied that there were many types of demonic beasts, some that fit the description and others that did not. Finn sighed in relief and asked how Helmut remembered this despite his amnesia. Helmut admitted that he was just assuming and cursed his fate. As the carriage moved slowly, someone attempted to drink water but nothing came out. Another person laughed, joking about how they saved money in most situations. He mentioned getting a better bottle once the request was over. He thought to himself that if he had money, he wouldn't have to participate in these long-distance requests. He assured that nothing unexpected had happened and they would earn a lot of money from this request. He suggested getting a drink afterward, mentioning that their town had the best beer and suggesting they go there. He agreed, saying everything was good. He even promised to bring fried chicken. Suddenly, while trying to share his water, the person was beheaded. His partner looked horrified, blood splatters covering his face. A massive demonic beast stood in front of him, devouring the head of the person it had just killed. He stared at the scene, feeling incredibly confused and frozen with fear. The demonic beast sat in the middle of the camp, continuing to chew on the head of a mercenary. It glanced at everyone as a furious mercenary called it a bastard and ran towards it. The others screamed, warning the mercenary not to rush in. But it was too late. The beast sliced him in half, smiling and then laughing as it held up its bloody claws. Shocked, everyone wondered where such a horrible monster had come from. Finn thought they had been too complacent, never expecting a beast to approach them fearlessly with so many mercenaries around. The beast looked up and noticed eyes watching it from the top of the trees. It threw the body of another mercenary into the air, and they aggressively began eating the corpse. Tanya observed that the beast was not alone, urging everyone to prepare for a fight. They all grabbed their swords and assumed fighting positions. Helmut believed it was time for it to end like this. Tanya instructed Finn and Helmut to take cover under the carriage and not get involved. Finn quickly looked up, appearing terrified, and grabbed Helmut, insisting they go all the way to the back. Helmut realized he couldn't use this yet and sensed that there were more beasts hiding. He considered the worst-case scenario, but before he could finish his thoughts, Finn interrupted and urged him to get in. Finn tells Helmut that he thinks it will be tough. Helmut looks over and thinks to himself that the beast in front of them is huge. He acknowledges that he is not as strong as Alaga or Naho, but still considers him very strong. He questions whether or not the beast is the leader. He mentions that among the mercenaries, only the rank 2 members are able to use this. Helmut looks down and realizes that the current him can do nothing against the beast. The mercenaries all nervously look at the beast, and it looks back at them with a menacing look. Suddenly, the beast screams loudly and releases green demonic energy. The rank 2 mercenaries rush in, and Fiend activates his vis. He jumps up with his vis-infused sword, ready to attack the demonic beast. Both Fiend and the beast slash towards each other, but their attacks cancel each other out. The beast looks surprised by this outcome, while Fiend manages to land perfectly on the ground. The other mercenaries are impressed by Fiend's vis and comment that it is expected of the captain. Someone warns his fellow corp member not to get distracted because smaller enemies are approaching. He turns her on and confidently states that as a rank 3 member, this is nothing for him, while he slices through several demonic beasts. Fiend is out of breath and tells everyone to keep moving forward. The other rank 2 mercenaries aim to attack the beast as soon as they see an opening, using their individual vis. Fiend jumps in the air and swiftly brings down his sword, but his attack gets blocked by the demonic beast. The other mercenaries join in and start their own attacks, managing to inflict a good amount of damage on the beast. The beast screams in pain while Tanya kicks its lackeys. Helmut is confused by the display and surprised to see that these humans are stronger than he initially thought. He observes that the rank 2 mercenaries are keeping the leader occupied, while the rest of the group carries out their own tasks. Helmut looks on and reflects that this is how humans fight, agreeing with what Darien had previously said about not underestimating them. The monster shook and looked at them. He saw the 3 mercenaries standing before it, along with its dead lackeys. It growled in frustration. Caleb's brother mentioned that now that they had taken care of the smaller threats, he asked how his vis was. Fiend replied that it could fight one more time. The Tariq Corp captain commented that it wasn't too bad and suggested they end it quickly since they were tired. The demonic beast bent its knee and leaped a great distance, surprising the group. It managed to grab onto a tree branch and swung out of the forest like Tarzan. The captains were slightly annoyed by the escaped beast. Tanya asked if they should chase it down, but Fiend informed her that this was an escort mission, not a subjugation mission. They would first attend to the injured. They began to gather materials and search for the wounded. Tanya approached Finn and Helmut, asking if they were alive and can get out. Finn requested assistance from Helmut, as he had cramps in his legs. Fiend commended everyone on their performance and suggested they collect the corpses of the demonic beasts. Helmut questioned why they would gather the corpses. Moros explained that demonic skin and the seed of darkness could be sold for a high price. He showed Helmut the seed of darkness, causing someone to yell at him to keep it away. Moros advised them to find a demonic beast, as it would be useful in the future. Helmut never expected to find a seed of darkness there. Finn informed him that it could control the human mind and gradually transform them into a demonic beast. However, Finn added that it was unlikely to encounter such people normally, as they either died before birth or were sent to the forests of the roots. He warned Helmut to be cautious, as they could turn into demonic beasts at any time. Helmut asked himself if that was how outsiders perceived Darien's words from the past. Darien believed that as long as one possessed the seed of darkness, they were destined to perish while fighting humans. He pondered that this meant he would eventually transform into a demonic beast. The reason Darien had taught him this was to help him suppress the seed within himself. Even if his vis returned, he was determined to conceal his seed in crowded places. As Helmut and Finn engaged in a discussion, they caught the attention of everyone around them. Finn then informed Tanya that whenever he saw them, it reminded him of their shared past. Tanya assured him that Finn had also shown growth since that incident, but still had much more room to develop. Both Finn and Helmut were diligently working on collecting bodies. Helmut thought he appeared repulsive up close, but then noticed something amiss. He alerted Finn to wait and Finn inquired about the issue, questioning if Helmut was scared. He reassured him not to worry too much and promised to prepare a meal. Suddenly, Finn was abruptly grabbed by the neck by a demonic beast, causing panic. Helmut swiftly activated his vis and someone's screams startled the birds, causing them to take flight. Helmut positioned himself, drew his sword, and quickly sliced the demonic beast in half, preventing it from harming Finn. Frightened, Finn fell to the ground and inquired about Helmut's well-being, expressing gratitude. Helmut thinks that his slashing was different from when he was training and felt like he had become unclogged somewhere, maybe because his vis might have returned. Sean then asked Helmut if he had dealt with the other remaining beast, and Helmut confirmed that he had. Sean commented on noticing Helmut's distinctiveness during their sparring session with Tanya. Finn interjected, expressing relief and gratitude to Helmut. Finn pledged to prepare a special soup for Helmut later. Byrne questioned Finn, suggesting that repaying Helmut with soup might not be enough for a fulfilling life. Meanwhile, Tanya watched Helmut from afar, puzzled about whether she had correctly witnessed him using this to defeat the beast. She remained motionless, deep in thought. In the forest later that night, Helmut meditated and discovered that the vis had reappeared. Helmut recognized that the instinctive swing of his blade had also summoned the vis and thanked Finn for it. He felt optimistic that with some dedicated focus, he could fully recover the vis within approximately 3 days. However, Finn's call to discuss the night watch interrupted his thoughts. Shortly after, Finn declared the group's guard plan, pairs in 3 shifts, Helmut and Tanya, Finn and Morris, Sean and Byrne, in that sequence. Yuta, given his injury, is excused. Byrne, looking at Yuta, muttered, "I should have let my arm get scratched or something." Yuta teased, jealous, "Just say the word, and I'll give you a good scratch." Byrne dismissed it, saying, "Forget it. Just go rest." Finn directed, "Good night, everyone. Lookouts, give it your best." The group chorused, "Yes, sir." Internally, Helmut reflected, "The one that escaped in the morning. I can sense it faintly. This has heightened all my senses." Tanya inquired, "Aren't you tired?" Helmut responded, "I'm fine." Tanya commented, "Impressive, but we have a long journey ahead tomorrow. Wake the next shift and then get some rest." Helmut agreed, "Sure thing, Tanya." In his mind, Helmut considered, "The demonic beasts wait for everyone to sleep. I'll keep watch alone, just to be safe. It's also an opportunity to replenish my vis." Meanwhile, Caleb, near a bonfire, observed Helmut venturing into the forest alone and chuckled, saying, "This is his moment." Swinging his sword, Helmut reflected, "It has improved significantly. If this continues, I should be fully healed by tomorrow." Mid-swing, he detected approaching footsteps and pondered, could it be a demonic beast? Yet, he sensed no demonic energy. It turned out to be a human. With a malevolent grin, Caleb advanced towards him, remarking, "Youngster, why wander alone? Traveling with others is safer. If he is going to practice swordsmanship, he should let him join." Helmut retorted, "I have no interest in you. Kindly leave me be." Caleb countered, "Oh, you seem oblivious to your situation. Do you truly believe that she will help you out again? Your tendency to look down on others started with your initial request. Ever had someone around to check your attitude? Well, consider this a lesson." Caleb persisted, "If a few broken limbs don't bother you, people grow through a beating or two. Even death just indicates weakness. So, don't hold it against me." Helmut questioned Caleb, "After making this journey, is that the extent of your intentions?" Caleb found Helmut's words perplexing. Helmut elaborated, "The members of the mercenary squad collaborate, and like your approach, which resembles more that of demonic beasts. If you're human, live like one. Rank for mercenary of Tariq mercenary squad." Caleb, surprised, burst into laughter and retorted to Helmut, "That's a joke. Demonic beast, living like a human. You don't get it. Humans thrive by dominating the weaker. Don't underestimate rank for just because of a caste. It's healed. I'll seize this opportunity to show you who's superior. I'll ensure you never look down on anyone again by gouging out and crushing your eyes." Caleb aimed a punch at Helmut, yet Helmut effortlessly caught his fist. Applying some pressure, Helmut forced Caleb to kneel, leaving Caleb to ponder. Where did this strength come from? Caleb then inquired of Helmut. What kind of trick did you use, you scoundrel? Helmut declared, I initially thought you resembled a demonic beast, but it appears your eyes are even more menacing. If you aim to establish a hierarchy, choose your opponents wisely. Understand your position. Caleb countered. I won't acknowledge it. Who would plead with someone like you? Clutching his sword, he swung at Helmut, who effortlessly parried his strikes. Undeterred, Caleb persisted with more attacks, cursing Helmut. Suddenly, Caleb's eyes widened, witnessing Helmut employ this. Amidst Caleb's confusion, Helmut passed by him and deftly injured both of his legs, leaving Caleb writhing in pain on the ground. Helmut pondered. This wasn't the plan. I hadn't intended to use this. Must have let excitement get the better of me. If I leave him, I'll be exposed. Closing in on Caleb from behind, Caleb pleaded with Helmut to spare him. Contemplating, Helmut asked himself, should I end him? The dark seed on his chest radiated, attempting to seize control, whispering, let's kill him, now's the chance. Kill him. Yet, Helmut employed this to resist the mental influence. Realizing, Helmut thought, the seed of darkness, is it because this was absent for a while? Briefly, I felt like I could turn into a demonic beast. Regain composure. I'm not a demonic beast. I am Helmut. After a few calming breaths, Helmut observed Caleb had fled. Simultaneously, Caleb questioned, how's he wielding this, brother? No, it can't be. Stronger than my brother. Unbelievable. Just a rank 4 kid. I must escape. A bit more and I can survive. Unexpectedly, a demonic beast pounced on Caleb. Responding to the commotion, Helmut headed toward the scene where the demonic beast assaulted Caleb, thinking, it's him. Helmut approached near the demonic beast, asserting, this one's mine. The beast growled, signaling its readiness to battle and advancing. Helmut reflected, I've changed since our first encounter. I can defeat you here and now. Come at me, as he imbued his sword with this. Witnessing Helmut's enhanced power, the demonic beast recoiled in fear and hastily retreated, growling nervously. Helmut pondered, can it gauge others' strength? It's no ordinary demonic beast. Grab that guy and vanish, or face your demise at my hands. The beast seized Caleb and made a hasty retreat. Helmut commented, a missed opportunity. It'll likely return. As individuals drew near, Helmut contemplated, I must figure out how to clarify the situation firstly. The night watch members of the group approached, with one inquiring, who's there? Another responded, it's a person. Later, at the camp, Max inquired of Helmut, did Caleb perish? Helmut affirmed and clarified, Caleb shadowed me, attempting to harass, but fell victim to the demonic beast and didn't make it. Paul, Caleb's brother, reacted strongly to this information. Max exclaimed, that troublemaker. Serves him right for tormenting you all. Since you were put in harm's way too, I apologize on behalf of the Tariq mercenary squad. Tanya interjected, hold on. Max, is a verbal apology all you're offering? He nearly lost his life because of someone from your mercenary squad. You knew about it and did nothing. Paul stood up for his brother, stating, mind your words. That someone is my younger brother. Tanya replied, though regrettable, had you supervised him adequately, this incident might not have occurred. Paul, visibly angered, questioned Tanya, are you attempting to insult not just my brother but our mercenary squad too? Sir Miles intervened, stating, that's enough. Everyone needs to compose themselves. Now is not the moment for assigning blame. We should focus on devising plans. While the Tariq mercenary squad bears responsibility, the Pace mercenary squad is also not careful with their words. We can't change what's happened, but we'll allocate the remaining commission fee of that mercenary to the child. Tanya acknowledged Miles, stating, understood. Paul appealed to Miles, saying, please consider it for his sake. Miles reflected to himself. The tension between the mercenary squads is quite tense. Miles addressed them. I'll strategize on how to handle the demonic beasts more securely. With 3 casualties already, let's exercise greater caution moving forward. Both members of the mercenary squad responded. Agreed. Shortly after, Tanya struck Helmut. Helmut, wincing, remarked to Tanya, "That stings." Tanya retorted, "It's supposed to sting, you youngster. You nearly lost your life just now. If you had informed me while we were on guard duty, I could have watched your back or something. Why would you wander alone in a place like this?" Helmut reflected inwardly. "That's precisely why I was being cautious, though." Tanya inquired of Helmut, "Do you understand the shock I felt when you were the only one missing? I suppose I should have been more vigilant after the skirmish with their group. It's not your fault, but you mustn't travel alone from now on, got it?" Helmut's eyes widened, and he offered an apology. Internally, he pondered, this sensation, cold yet warm, it's reminiscent of Darien. Tanya reassured Helmut, saying, "Fine, just be more cautious moving forward." Helmut responded, "Sure, I'll make sure of it," and continued his reflection, the warmth of a human. Tanya informed Finn, last night, a mercenary fell victim to a demonic beast ambush. It appears to be the same one from the initial attack. Finn instructed, "Everyone, conserve your strength, and let's exit this forest swiftly. We can't afford any more casualties." Tanya agreed, saying, "Got it." During the following days, the demonic beast exclusively targeted only the Pace Squad and Tariq Squad, leaving them to fend for themselves. Pace Squad members remarked to one another, "This is relentless. We might endure a day or two, but exhaustion will set in, making it perilous." Finn, alarmed, declared, "This is frustrating. Why do the demonic beasts keep going for the rear?" Meanwhile, Helmut contemplated, "More crucially, I sense the fiend's demonic energy, but it's not in close proximity. It lingers slightly farther away, orchestrating batches of demonic beasts around the mercenary squad. Perhaps it believes the time isn't right yet." Sean, fatigued, remarked, "Today has been incredibly exhausting. If this continues for a few more days, everyone will end up injured." Yuta snapped, "Keep your pessimism to yourself." Sean teased Yuta, saying, "How sluggish do you have to be to get your legs bitten? Are you a lava?" Yuta retorted, "Do you think I wanted to get bitten? I tried avoiding them." "Seriously, I'll hit you." Sean chuckled, "You're still full of energy." Finn observed with a somber expression, and Tanya addressed him, saying, "This is frustrating." Yuta, then Marcos, and now Sean. "I didn't expect them to relentlessly attack us day and night." Finn commented, "At least we can be thankful that no one has lost their life." He observed that Helmut and Finn, who were assisting during the night, were performing better than anticipated. Finn acknowledged that Helmut's sword skills allowed him to watch over Finn, who excelled at evasion thanks to his survival instincts. Tanya contemplated what she had observed earlier, and was about to speak when Finn interjected, saying, "What's crucial now is that the demonic beasts are specifically focusing on our mercenary squad." He confessed that he didn't understand the reason behind it, considering their side had minimal involvement in the day's skirmish. Tanya highlighted the Tariq mercenary squad's 3 casualties and referenced the recent conflict. Expressing skepticism about receiving assistance, she proposed staying vigilant. Finn, with a somber mood, concurred, saying, "Yes, we must find a way for all of us to survive." During the night, Miles briefed Paul, "You're likely aware, but the demonic beasts, for some odd reason, are exclusively focusing on Pace Group. I believe the leader of demonic beast is planning a strategy." Paul inquired if that was true, and Miles responded, "We may be fine for now, but it's only a matter of time until they break through Pace Squad." Paul, despite the clash with Pace, "Don't you believe, for the sake of safety, Tariq, with more manpower, should assist?" Miles suggested, but Paul disagreed, surprising Miles. Paul added, "As you've pointed out, Pace defenses will crumble if this continues. Rather than just safety, we should prioritize efficiency. Miles inquired. Efficiency, Paul explained. It's straightforward. While the Pace mercenary squad draws the attention of the demonic beasts, the rest can swiftly exit the forest. Aren't we, the Tariq mercenary corps, in possession of the important items anyway? Miles, taken aback by Paul's suggestion, exclaimed, "You can't consider that. Doesn't the Tariq mercenary corps have any principles?" With a sinister grin, Paul told Miles, "It's a moment for rational thinking. Morals, trust beautiful words, but isn't survival more crucial? The demonic beast menacing us could wipe us all out, biding its time for our exhaustion. If our mercenaries and merchants perish, compensating for the lost goods and lives becomes impossible. Naturally, if Sir Miles has a superior approach, we'll adhere to it. I'm merely presenting alternatives. Sir Miles, the decision is yours." The following day, Tanya expressed, "It's truly overwhelming. Ambushes persist day after day. Our troops and horses have been fatigued for a while, and our remaining distance is uncertain. Those Tariq squad fellows won't extend a helping hand. They merely observed us this morning. Even in a fight, this is excessive." Paul added, "I understand. If this continues, the arrival of the demonic beasts might lead to something truly dire." Tanya inquired, "What's going on with them? They're rapidly accelerating." Before the Pace squad could comprehend the situation, the Tariq squad swiftly distanced themselves. Tanya yelled, "What on earth? What are you up to?" Maros questioned Tanya, "Hold on, where are they headed?" Fiend grasped their strategy and informed the Pace squad. "They're deliberately using us as bait since the demonic beasts are concentrating on our mercenary squad." Cursing them, he said, "We fell right into their trap. We've been deserted." Helmut pondered. "It unfolds like this. Catching up is futile now. The demonic beasts have already encircled us, exploiting the other squad as bait for their own escape. I wonder how many of us can make it out alive at this rate. Perhaps, if I intervene now." Meanwhile, Fiend addressed the entire squad. "The demonic beasts are converging as our forces diminish. Brace yourselves, everyone. They're approaching." All squad members fiercely battled the demonic beasts against overwhelming odds. Sean exclaimed, "What a befitting death of a mercenary." Maros retorted to Sean, "Nonsense. Dying here would be nothing but a futile demise. I can't leave this world like that. My end has to carry some nobility." Sean remarked to Maros, "Noble, my fault. We're just mercenaries." Tanya, observing both, remarked, "Fools, playing on until the very end." Helmut pondered whether others would scrutinize his identity, questioning if they doubt his humanity, origins, and true self. Yet, he came to the realization that these aspects no longer held significance to these individuals. He was unwilling to witness their demise. Recalling Darien's words, he opted to afford humans an opportunity and place his trust in them, at least for this instance. Addressing the entire group, Helmut declared that what they were about to witness was confidential. The Pace squad members were astounded as they observed Helmut employing this. Simultaneously, demonic beasts charged toward them, poised to strike. Without delay, Helmut soared into the air, executing attacks enveloped in vis, causing the lifeless beasts to plummet to the ground. Sean found it hard to fathom what he was witnessing and questioned if it was a dream. Maros promptly assured him that it was undeniably real. Upon Helmut's descent to the ground, he thrust his weapon into one of the beasts. Observing Helmut's prowess, the remaining creatures grew frightened and tried to escape, but Helmut swiftly eradicated them all. They all stood frozen, witnessing Helmut's display of power. Byrne blurted out, "Unbelievable." Maros uttered, "A miracle, it's a miracle." Helmut reflected silently. The demonic beast fled upon witnessing its comrade's demise. Such cowardly creatures. Finn inquired of Helmut, "How did you employ this?" Helmut responded, "It's nothing. My body just recovered." Tanya contemplated silently, recalling, I was right, I didn't misinterpret it. To believe such a thing is achievable. Helmut inquired, is everyone unharmed? Both Finn and Tanya were astounded, sharing the same thought. What exactly have I discovered? Finn mumbled, even as a rank 2, I can't manifest this. How is he capable of doing that at such a young age? Addressing Helmut, Finn inquired, where did you learn swordsmanship? Helmut contemplated internally. Even if they are trustworthy individuals, it's wise not to discuss the forest of roots. Helmut stated, I resided in a forest with my mentor, but beyond that, my recollections are hazy. Finn responded, what? Oh yes, you have amnesia. Helmut inquired, so, what's our plan now? It seems the immediate threat has subsided. Finn proposed, initially, we should exit this forest. We also need to reunite with the ones who left us behind. Byrne voiced, those scoundrels. Moros asserted, when we encounter them, they won't get away with it. Finn inquired of Helmut, what's your plan? Helmut responded, I can't predict what happens after we exit the forest, but I'll stick around until then. I haven't even received my share of the money. Finn remarked, an odd sense of reality in such a bizarre situation. However, Tanya silenced Finn with a punch, stating, hey, zip it. Finn acknowledged, understood. Let's pursue those who advanced ahead. It's the most sensible option. Byrne expressed relief. My body feels remarkably light after that good rest yesterday. Moros chimed in. I believe all my injuries have healed as well. Meanwhile, Yuta burst into laughter. Tanya scrutinized the footprints on the ground and asserted confidently, we're heading in the correct direction. Despite numerous tracks, she detected no audible noise or vibration. It seems like they ran throughout the night. Have they possibly reached the outskirts of the forest already? Finn referred to the initial plan and remarked, as per the original plan, they should pause at the initial village post-forest. We'll likely encounter them there. Maros exclaimed with enthusiasm, the first village, it'll serve as the perfect stage for payback. Byrne joined in, seeing us alive will surely shock them. I can't wait to see how much Sir Miles trembles while giving us our share. Moros added, my anticipation is off the charts. Finn questioned, while the reward is appealing, what about the initial request? Moros concurred, good point. There's nothing left to safeguard now. Byrne noted, Tariq has all the crucial items. We're left with just one food carriage. Helmut, catching a distant sound, pondered to himself, what's that noise? He distanced himself from the group to explore. Observing Helmut's departure, Finn inquired, Helmut, what's going on? Tanya directed her query at Helmut, asking, do you sense something? Moros mentioned, I don't feel anything. Helmut responded, I detect the gathering of demonic energy. There's a skirmish. I believe it involves the Tariq mercenary squad. Moros chuckled and remarked, those troublemakers, they're getting what they deserve. Anxiously, Finn inquired of Helmut, how distant are they? Helmut responded, at this pace, it's approximately an hour away. The leader is among them. Finn halted his own question when Helmut suggested, if we hasten, it'll take less time. The Tariq squad should manage until we get there. Moros questioned, do we have to confront that demonic beast again just to rescue those Tariq troublemakers? Can't we just move on? Sean countered, you fool, we still need to collect our payment. Finn asserted their identity as mercenaries rather than vengeful spirits, underscoring the priority of fulfilling the request before addressing the Tariq individuals. Tanya concurred, highlighting the distinction between the honorable pace mercenary squad and the cunning and self-centered Tariq group. Following this, Finn proposed advancing to safeguard the client and the goods. During the confrontation with demonic creatures, the Tariq squad, led by Paul, fought relentlessly. Paul directed the members on the right to uphold their formation. Amidst battling of beasts, he pondered that only a day had passed, yet obstacles kept emerging. The relentless pursuit of the demonic beast surprised him, indicating they were not content with just confronting the Pace mercenary squad. Subsequently, the beast's leader launched an attack on Paul, who, with determination, leaped into the air. Paul, realizing the need to escape, vaulted backward to reach Max, the captain of the Tariq squad. Addressing Max, Paul remarked, "Hey." Max inquired, "What's up, Paul?" Paul responded, "At this pace, everyone's in jeopardy. We can handle the minions, but the leader is unbeatable. Judging by their strength, I believe the Pace mercenary squad has already been wiped out." Max queried, "So what's the plan?" Paul suggested, "If we to run away now, all witnesses vanish, preserving our reputation." Max, smiling, agreed, saying, "Great idea." Max called out to the Tariq squad, "Spread out, everyone." A squad member questioned, "What's going on?" Another inquired, "Why disperse?" Their confusion cleared when they witnessed Max and Paul abandoning the battle and making a run for it. Observing this, Sir Miles too felt a sense of unease, as the Tariq squad exclaimed, "Paul and Max, what's happening?" Sir Miles' assistant queried, "Sir Miles, what's our next move?" Internally, Sir Miles regretfully thought, "I made a mistake. Trusting the Tariq mercenary squad was a wrong decision. I should have anticipated this outcome. Ever since we abandoned the Pace mercenary squad, my fate was sealed." Trembling, Miles uttered, "Everyone is destined to perish. We're all doomed." Meanwhile, the beast's leader seized one of Miles' assistants. Helmut intervened, addressing the beast, "Hey, release that." Helmut swung the sword towards the beast, but it skillfully blocked the attack, forcing both beast and him backward. Angrily, Helmut demanded the beast release the human. Growling, the beast complied, tossing the human toward Helmut, who caught him, while putting him down. Contemplating Fiend's previous words, Fiend considered the need to evaluate the situation due to a lingering sense of unease. Aware of the Tariq mercenary squad's past betrayal, he acknowledged the likelihood of a second betrayal. Helmut expressed agreement, stating, "All right." In the current moment, Helmut acknowledged Fiend's correctness, realizing that any delay would have resulted in the merchant's demise. Informing the beast that his viz had returned, he declared readiness to confront it. With determination, Helmut charged towards the leader of the beast to initiate the attack. The beast snarled, ordering its minions to assail Helmut at once. Swiftly, Helmut dispatched all the minion beasts in the blink of an eye. Despite recognizing this as the most formidable demonic beast outside the forest, he remained confident in his ability to triumph. Vigilant, Helmut pressed on, inflicting substantial damage on the beast. In retaliation, the creature emitted a pained growl, unleashing a surge of green demonic energy. In the meantime, Helmut pondered, the beast's demonic energy has intensified. Could it be absorbing the surrounding demonic energy? It's undeniably more powerful than before. The Pace mercenary squad is on its way. If they rush in to assist, it might pose a risk. I needs to take decisive action and conclude this swiftly. Enveloped in a shroud of green demonic energy, the beast leaped forward, launching an attack on Helmut. Despite Helmut striking back, this time his attack proved ineffective. Reflecting, he realized, my regular fighting strength won't suffice against this. Subsequently, Helmut unleashed more powerful attacks, yet the beast adeptly blocked each one. Helmut internally noted, it has become swifter. As he landed on the ground, he contemplated, its claws have regenerated as well. It will become troublesome if I can't finish it off in a single strike. Following a brief exchange of blows between Helmut and the beast, one of the creatures attacks tore Helmut's clothing. Helmut remarked, I don't have spare clothes. I'll need to purchase new ones in town. Eventually, the beast even absorbed the other demonic beasts. Springing forward, the beast tried to strike Helmut. Observing the attack, Helmut recognized, I've witnessed this before, the same pattern as Naho's. Speaking confidently, he added, even if you absorb all available demonic energy, you're still inferior to Naho. With swift action, Helmut leaped forward and effortlessly cleaved the beast in half with a single swing of his sword. This concludes the first part of the manhwa. The next part of this will be uploaded soon, so don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel for further updates.